Welcome back everyone to Season 2, Episode 6, Upside Down of Kenshi Let's Struggle. We're continuing off with Harold making a supply run while the other skeletons are on their way back to Fort Harold. Right now, Fort Harold isn't doing too good. Most of the people there are starving right now, some critically. And the 5 skeletons have been having problems of their own. Hungry bandits keep on trying to ambush them in attempts to steal the bounty that they had claimed. In the last episode, we took down the Dust King, and right now B02 has the Dust King. B02 would go to Squinn and split off from the other 4 skeletons, while the other 4 went into the hub to go grab some food and materials for the fort. Now B02 had the Dust King on him, and all he had to do was bring him to Squinn and get him there safely. Meanwhile, at the fort, we're having a bit of trouble as a lot of our units are pretty weak. Along with a few of them missing limbs, it's pretty hard to fight back most of the time. The other 4 skeletons are running into more and more hungry bandit attacks, but we're able to hold their own quite well against them. Upon making it to Squinn, B02 went right into the guard tower and handed in the Dust King over to the Squinn guard. Now, the Dust King was in the Shek Kingdom's hands, and he would be left there to rot, tied to a pole, probably sold off into slavery or killed. We can now send B02 back to the fort. Meanwhile, at the fort, there's a new type of bandit. The Dust Lords arrived at the base, and we've never seen the Dust Lords before. When B02 encountered 2 different Dust Bandit groups fighting each other, the Dust Raiders and the Dust Reapers, it suddenly clicked in that by taking out the Dust King, it has probably caused a huge swing in power where all the Dust Bandits are splitting off into different groups or tribes. This now means we could have 5 to 10 different Dust Bandit groups to deal with. B02 ended up running through a group of Black Ninja Genins while he was trying to get back to the fort to deliver the news. But fortunately, his strength would prove great, and he barely took too much damage before taking out the group attacking him. Harold had little to no idea about the whole uproar that was now caused by the Dust King being taken down. All he knew was that he needed to get a few more troops trained up. So he took the Dirty Patriot and the 3 hivers that we have and put them into a group with him. This way, we're going to try and find a bandit that's lying around and then put him through the Harold Empire initiation process. So we had a unit ready for this, and I had gathered them all and sent them over to Implored's little cage here. And I decided to take out the wall in the back of the fort because we're just going to have to run around too many times now. But suddenly, the Dust Bandit attack arrived at Fort Harold. Now, I thought we took out the Dust Bandits, but this is what is left over of the Dust Bandits, I'm supposing, and it was a pretty big group. Quite an army of Dust Bandits had arrived at Fort Harold. The 5 or 6 dozen of them start rushing in towards the base of Fort Harold, where all the miners and production workers are, and Harold has to make a run for the gates in order to stop the Dust Bandits from taking over the fort. Luckily though, the training that he's been doing is paying off well, as he's able to take down most of these bandits in 1 or 2 hits. With most of their stats of the 20s to 30s and his in the 60s to 70s, he was doing a lot better off and able to chop off limbs and get lots of knockouts and even kills. Now, even though Harold was something to be feared on the battlefield, once there was a great number of them, he just had to run around and try and stall them out until his skeletons hopefully returned back home. He was able to stall them out for about another hour or so. Meanwhile, the skeletons that were coming back home ran into a different group of Dust Bandits that tried to stop them for a fight. So they would have to take care of these Dust Bandits, only slowing down their progress towards the base even more, and they were only about an hour away. B02 was still in the burning forest, and most of Fort Harold at this point had been either knocked out or in critical condition. Even Harold was not able to land many hits and would go down after a very fatal chest blow. With that, the Dust Bandits had seemed to win, and they were about to claim Fort Harold. Upon their disbelief, the beasts emerge, Implored, sprinting out of his cage and towards the Dust Bandit intruders for a fine meal. They would try and fight back against Implored, but were no match. The entire group stood still as they saw the great Implored come and destroy their leaders one by one. Harold got up and got back into the battle, chasing any of the Dust Bandits that were trying to escape. And luckily for everyone else, the 4 skeletons finally arrived at the base to help them out with the Dust Bandits, and they were able to take them down one by one, the last few, and the Dust Bandit attack had been defeated. clearing out a few crawling dust bandits that were left around the base gates. 4 skeletons explained to Harold that they had taken down the Dust King, and in turn what kind of events would lead. So now that the Dust King is now gone, with the Dust King gone, there will be a huge power imbalance between Shem, the border zone, and other regions around them. This means all Harold can really do is prepare his people as best as he can before more and more start showing up and then take the fight back to them. We still had a few random bandit groups coming our way, so it wouldn't be anytime soon that we'd be leaving the base, but we could at least patch some people up and then find a bandit for training. Now with the skeletons back home, we were pretty well off. We didn't have to worry too much about the bandit attacks anymore. And Harold could finally get the training group all ready again so that they could train on this new unit, as the other one that they had escaped. This is when a slave raid arrived at Fort Harold, and luckily there were only 2 slavers. Now 2 slavers for a base of 30 sounds pretty fucking stupid. So, you know, obviously B02 went out and fucking destroyed them. Now in the morning we had all 5 people with training weapons as well as our prisoner, and we're ready to go into Implored's little cage and fight him. Meanwhile, we are actually selling some of our swords and other things, especially the higher grade stuff, now that we're getting a little bit better weapons made. I also wanted to put in a double house. And I also wanted to put in this double house where I'm going to figure out how to set it up to please the 5 skeletons. That way it can honor them for their deeds and hard work. Now Harold and the other 4 though could finally train, and they'd be doing this for the rest of the episode. That way they could get their stats up quite a bit, as well as get a new recruit hopefully. Well, soon after, a thanks from the Triangle Bandits had arrived at Fort Harold. Once arriving, they thank us for eliminating the Dust King, and the Dust King Tower became their boss's hideout and their faction expanded. This is shown in the massive amount of numbers that they have brought to our base compared to before, where they had groups of 10 to 20. Now, Skeleton Fox was on a run, but the 4 skeletons that were there that did hear this obviously got pretty pissed off by this. Meanwhile, Skeleton Fox had been hunted down by the Triangle Bandits while he was on his way to the way station, and there was a group of about 8 of them that he had to fight all by himself. They got quite a few hits in on him, but while looking at the fort, Wet Axo went down first, but the rest of the troops were holding in alright so far. Implored was helping out, and B02, Erocrative, and Arpo were all taking out more and more Triangle Bandits. Luck was on our side today, where the Nomads ended up strolling right between the 2 walls of Implored's base and Fort Harold. Meanwhile, Skeleton Fox was fighting the last few of his Triangle Bandits, and he was just able to take them out with a few last hits while they were crawling. Truly impressed me, to be honest, as he was outnumbered, and they aren't exactly that weak when compared to most bandits. With that, the thanks from the Triangle Bandits had been defeated. Skeleton Fox made it to the way station, were able to repair his limb damage, because he had about 80 limb damage in each limb, and we could only grab 1 arm, because all we needed was left arms, and he only had 1 left arm, 2 right arms, but either way, we're about 33% back to everybody having limbs, so that's pretty good. I know soon I'm either going to figure out if I'm going to be growing cotton or hemp again, that way I can set up some fabrics and get some clothing done. Then finally I had Harold knock out the bandit and take him over to a cage. They had all got up to level 60, and Harold had about level 78 in dexterity and his hackers. So after handing them back all weapons that suit them, we're looking pretty good now. We got at least 4 units who will be at the base at all times that have decent stats. When this was set up, I wanted to get the 6 skeletons and send them on a run into the burning forest. I will only want to send them, that way we didn't get any humans hurt there. But a bandit raid showed up right away, this time from the Dust Raiders, off branch of the Dust Bandits. Now Harold went to go check out what was going on, and when feeling like it would be an extortion attempt, he would of course stab the bandit in the face. So leave them to go bitching back over to their base, where we'll probably try and bring the rest of our troops for a massive war. Now I put a prisoner cage inside one of the houses, that way the prisoner doesn't get eaten alive anymore, and put him in there, that way he can sit there and try and starve. Now the 6 skeletons, I thought that they were arriving at the ruins, so I went to go check out this spot. It looked really cool. It looked like there's a lot of stuff here and a lot of things to do, but when actually looking at it, we realized there's skeletons here and they're saying, you shouldn't be here. Now, when trying to leave, they want to talk to us, so B02 goes to talk to him, and he basically gives us some propaganda about getting skinned and becoming clean skeletons. B02, of course, doesn't really fly for this, and when telling the skinless skeleton that he doesn't want any, he screams for the guards, of course, so we have to make a mad dash out of this spot, and one of them ends up following us, so since he has about 60 in each stats, I have all my 6 skeletons fight him, and they end up knocking him out pretty easily as they could overwhelm him with high damage output. Now we could try and repair him, but there's a couple blood spiders coming in, and then more. We now had about 3 dozen dust spiders across the map trying to fight the 6 skeletons. Now luckily though, all the skeletons were pretty fast at this point and could do some decent numbers against the blood spiders, so they would all go down with just about 1 or 2 hits each. They repaired the skeleton that they had defeated and picked him up. But when actually getting to the ruins that we had wanted to go to, there was nothing there except this one NPC. I'm guessing it's just a glitch ruins from the mod, but that's a part of a Let's Struggle. Shit blows, but I know a ruins that I want to check out in the next episode that's going to be pretty fucking cool. This one definitely was underwhelming as there's nothing but rubble here, but I mean, I guess we can maybe claim it as a base one day. But back at the base, everything was going pretty well. Everyone was healed up again for the most part, and a lot of our units were a lot stronger than they were before. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. Now, if you guys enjoyed this episode, remember to leave a like and a comment in the comment section below. Recently hit 400 subscribers, so thank you everyone for that. That's pretty damn cool. I might try and have a channel talk video or webcam video out again for 420 subs, so look forward to that. Join my Discord if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.